With profound humble gratitude and love to all venerated enlightened masters, we bow to the Almighty in soulful gratefulness for gifting us with their holy blessed presence. May all beings be awakened by their divine grace.
Part 2 of 4.
Etc.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds, heaven Godspeed.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
รายการของเรามีให้หลายภาษาโปรดดู suprememastertv.com/schedule
About organised vegetarianism around the world. But we're going back a long way, 2,500 years in both Europe and India.
Please stay with us to enjoy this illuminating Congress.
Vegan, tested positive for courage.
Today's program will be presented in English with subtitles in Arabic, Aulacese, also known as Vietnamese, Chinese, English, French, German, Hindi, Hungarian, Indonesian, Korean, Mongolian, Persian, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Thai, and Ukrainian or Uranian. Mayong Atlaw, joyous viewers. I just said, good day in Cebuano, one of the languages of the Lumat people in the Philippines. I am Nathaniel. The earth-loving Lumat appreciate all that you do to protect Mother Nature and join you in adhering to the eco-conscious vegan lifestyle, which is essential to save humanity, our animal friends, and the planet. The Lumat are a proud indigenous society that inhabit the island of Mindanao in the Philippines. Consisting of 15 ethnic groups combined, they comprise about 1/10 of the country's total population. Living primarily in small communities surrounded by nature, the peaceful Lumat people strive to preserve their rich heritage and culture. Groups such as the Subanon study wind patterns to foretell the weather and growing conditions. Other groups are known for their handicraft skills, which include weaving, pottery, wood art, and jewelry. Their unique songs and dances, the traditional ornaments, and the colorfully woven dresses of the Lumat women all survive to the present day. These art forms are part of their identity and carry in them their stories and heritage. Although faced with a multitude of challenges, the Lumat remain true to their heritage and try to pass on their culture to the next generation. Their religious beliefs, which center around the spirits of nature, have significantly influenced their joyful music and vibrant dance. There are many festivals held to celebrate Lumat traditions. These are often incredibly colorful and range from the Kamulan, which brings together 7 Lumat groups, to the culturally significant Thanksgiving ceremonies of the Subanon, known as Buklok. In December 2010, the first ever Middle East Vegetarian Congress was held at the Dubai International Exhibition Center, with the public invited to engage in an interactive exploration of the plant-based lifestyle. Organized by the Middle East Veg Group or MEVEG, supported by the Middle East Natural and Organic Product Expo 2010, and endorsed by the Dubai Health Authority of the United Arab Emirates. The event provided 2 days of seminars, workshops, and video telecasts with experts from around the world, along with rejuvenating veg cuisine. In addition, Supreme Master Ching Hai, vegan, was specially invited to speak via live video link on being a vegan, an environmentally sustainable food choice, followed by a question and answer session with attendees and the launch of the Arabic edition of the international best-selling book, The Birds in My Life, which was already sold out pre-launch. The Birds in My Life was printed by United Printing and Publishing, a subsidiary of Abu Dhabi Media Company or ADMC, owned by the government of Abu Dhabi. We now invite you to join us for part 8 of the conference titled The First Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress, held in the city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates on December 6, 2010, with George Swan, who will explain the benefits of a positive attitude and exercise in daily life.
So I'm going to focus just on exercise and attitude for a minute. Nutrition, y'all, I think, know quite a lot about. The idea of exercise and attitude is your attitudes are really, I call them attitudes actually. Have you ever noticed that sometimes your attitude has you, you're caught in an attitude? And when you notice that voice of your attitude, you actually can let it go. So if I am wearing a hat that isn't working, I might reach in the box and pull out a hat that works a lot better. So you could take one hat off. I like to get up in the morning and I look through all my hats. There's a hat over here that says, gee, job is tough, life is difficult, I don't really understand what my boss is saying. I can just leave them on the shelf and I can put on my happy hat. Or I can put on my hat that says, well, look, why don't I just go in and learn a little bit more about a particular procedure or about people and be more committed to what I am at the office, kind of like that. This is the hat you don't want to wear very often. It's the box. It's the hammer and nail box. Just let that one go. Got another hat here. It's like the inquiry hat. The inquiry hat is very interesting. I want you to look at the red lines. So below the red line and to the left of the red line, that's the box that we all get caught up into. Sometimes my kids get a little bit unruly and I get angry with them, or I start telling them what to do. And I get caught into the attitude. But if I can begin to free myself up, lighten up, I actually discover there's a way out. So if I'm a victim, what I want to do is I want to shift to the right, like an inquiry, like ask the question, what do I need to learn? What can I learn that is going to move me out of being a victim? In the same way, if I'm in stage 2, or stage 3 rather, if I'm in stage 3 and I want to get out of that competitive mode, I might notice that I need to learn something about listening and coaching, so I can shift to the right, learn something about listening and coaching, and shift up above the line where it's all about teamwork and it's camaraderie and it's actually helping one another to do our work and have better communities, kind of like that. Now, I said that I started running about 35 years ago. And about 10 years ago, I found out that the bone density in my vertebrae here was actually declining. And it really was a shock because I felt like I was in great health and I'd been doing all the right things. And I realized that women know a lot about calcium. Men don't know so much about calcium. But men need to take calcium and pay attention to calcium every bit as much as women. And I also discovered this gentleman here, Leonard Schwartz. So you could see he did not do anything until he was the age of 50. And he looked in the mirror one day and he said, wow, I'm overweight, I've got high blood pressure, I'm a borderline diabetic, I'm in terrible shape. And he studied exercise and really became a master in it and found that he didn't have a lot of time to devote to exercise. So what he wanted to do was spend his 30 minutes every other day walking or running. And he reached down and he picked up some weights. And I was very happy to see Lo Yin earlier had a picture of Scott Jurek, the ultra marathoner, with his weights in his hand. But when you're walking down a running path or a walking path, how many people do you see carrying weights? Not very many. And a very interesting thing that Len Schwartz discovered about weights is that if I'm going to walk for 30 minutes every other day, I can double the benefits by carrying weights along with me. Or if I'm going to run for an hour, when we were preparing for the marathon a couple years ago, I would go running. And I'd run with these weights. And what happened was, over the last 10 years, I've shifted the workout from my legs up to my upper body. So now, I can stand in front of TV, I can exercise while I'm watching a TV program, I can do figures of 8 like this, and it has been amazing how much extra benefit I've gotten from just carrying a couple of weights. I recommend everybody get a pair of dumbbells. Start with 2 kilograms. You know, that won't kill you, but you'll go out for 30 minutes. If you carry 2 kilograms, the first time you do it, you're going to be exhausted. Persist. Persist. Go through it, and you'll discover what a great, great benefit this is in your world of exercise. This was something that came out just a couple weeks ago in the New York Times. It's almost like a duh. They found out that people with diabetics, if they combine aerobics with weights, that they actually can reduce their blood sugars, reduce their weights. Gosh, did I see that figure earlier from Lo Yin? 82% of people that change their diet reverse their heart condition. You know, that's phenomenal. What if we applied that in our healthcare business? You know, I mean, I'm really not interested in building the greatest healthcare surgery departments in the world for people with heart problems if I can eliminate them altogether. And then what about the kids? So we all have kids, but we all are responsible for our communities and our neighborhoods. If we can see it and say it and do it, we will influence the kids. We know for a fact that kids that exercise, kids that are healthy, have scores that are higher than kids that don't. I mean, exercise is good for the brain, not just good for the muscle. And of course, the diet just combines with the whole thing. I'm a learner here, by the way. I have to say that I took a walk around and you know, I can see a lot of things I can even do to improve my diet as well. So just to summarize things here in this little chart, I could say that S1, S2, S3, that's about the box. So getting out of the box and opening up like an inquiry, like what more is there that I could do? The first level is really dying. And the second level is surviving. Anybody familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs know that when you're down there, you know, life is tough. On the other hand, you stay down there by talking about it, and the only way out is to begin to learn about what can you do to move yourself up this ladder of life. And the third level is the striving area. Letting go of the me and getting into the we puts you up above the red line. I call it the magic red line. Getting up where you have a thriving organization, a thriving neighborhood, a thriving community, and that puts you up into the stage 5 where you actually can see the whole planet and the benefits of the lifestyle, the exercise, the attitude, and nutrition. And I know that seems very difficult. It's kind of like this. Lifestyle is a job of juggling. Kind of like that. It turns out most people, I teach thousands of people in my life to juggle. And it turns out that when you start to teach somebody to juggle, the first thing they say, what do you think? I can't juggle. And their brain turns off and they don't want to do it. So I say, look, take those words, put them in the trash can over there, say to yourself, I will learn, I want to learn, and I'm going to learn. Literally, 10 minutes later, most people can juggle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just like that. So I'll be walking around here a little bit for the rest of the day. If anybody would like to take me up on it, just ask. I can teach you how to juggle. Thank you.
That was really nice. And the juggling part, and I love the hats. Please, go ahead.
I did have just one more chart here. If you make a piece of paper and you make columns on it, each week look back and decide, like, what are my scores for lifestyle, exercise, attitude, nutrition? You can actually put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on it. And get your resting heart rate on that column and see what happens over a period of 6 to 8 weeks. I think this was my last thought, actually, which is, as you pass through life, my friend, make this your goal. Keep your eye upon the donut and not upon the hole. Now, I don't mean that literally. You don't want to eat donuts, because those are, fried foods and white flour, but it's a great thought, and keep that. Thank you.
Any questions? And anybody wants to request him to learn juggling as well? I already, yes, me too. So we got 3 people already. Excellent. And more will join, of course. It's so interesting. But he said rightly that it's our mind, actually, which tells us that we can't do. Well, thank you, George. That was really very nice, and it makes us think. And you're very fit. You don't look 67. Now I'd like to invite John Davis to come and share his views with us. John, if I could request you to come up to the stage. And a little bit about John. John Davis was a pioneer of vegetarianism on internet from the first days of WWW, or the World Wide Web, in 1994. Throughout this time, he has also been researching the history of International Vegetarian Union, or IVU, partly for presentations at the Centenary Congress in 2008, along with general vegetarian history, all supported by members of the IVU History email group. The result of this now run to about 10,000 historical files on IVU website. Over the years, IVU, John has attended congresses and other events in many countries, including Brazil, California, China, Germany, India, Indonesia, Scotland, Singapore, Spain, Switzerland, and Thailand. And he lives in rural England, so John, if I could request you to come here. Come on, guys.
Hi, hello. This is now for something completely different. Nothing about fresh fruit or vegetables, nothing about doing exercise, just about organised vegetarianism around the world and what's happening. In the beginning, what we have is ancient Greece and Rome and ancient India and in the middle Persia, and lots of people. On the left are ancient Greek philosophers, Roman emperors. The one at the very bottom left is Pythagoras, who you might know from his square on the hypotenuse theorem. But Pythagoras was also a philosopher and a teacher, and a lot of other things beside maths. On the right are various people from ancient India. I'm sure you'll recognise some of them. What they have in common is that they were all some sort of vegetarian for some part of their lives. So we go back a long way, 2,500 years in both Europe and India. The big question is who thought of it first? The academic view is that we don't know. The Indians will tell you, of course it started in India. Maybe it did. We don't really know for sure. What we do know in between was, in Persia, Zoroaster. We know the ancient Greeks went to Persia, and I think the ancient Indians went there. So it's possible the ideas swapped across. Maybe the Greeks learnt it from the Indians in some way when it was passing around. The ideas were surprisingly similar, including things like transmigration of souls. The ancient Greeks were talking along those lines as well. So we're going back a very long way, and then we're going to do a big jump into organised vegetarianism. What happened in Europe, vegetarianism almost disappeared after the first century of the Roman Empire. As Rome became more and more Christian, so the vegetarians declined. In the East, of course, it continued. In India, East Asia, for religious reasons, just carried on right through the centuries. But we jump here right up to 1847 in England, where we've got the first vegetarian society was formed by two groups in London in the southeast, Manchester in the northwest. They got together and formed this society, which was completely independent of any religious views at all. There were a lot of different people involved in it. The two in the picture were from the Bible Christian Church in Salford near Manchester. And the one on the right was particularly important because he was a very wealthy businessman, and it helps having a lot of money when you want to do something like this. It's still there today. The building on the left is Parkdale near Manchester, which is the headquarters, has been since 1969. On the right is the library, which contains in bound volumes every journal back to 1846, right from the beginning. And naturally I made quite a lot of use in that in historical research. A few months ago I was co-opted onto the board of the Vegetarian Society of the UK, as it's now called. So I'm spending a bit more time up there on other business. 1850, American Vegetarian Society. I did this talk in San Francisco last February, and I asked them there, when did they think the first ever American Vegetarian Society was founded? And they all said, well, 1960s, hippies, that's where it all came from. It was a long time before that.
Even people who were not interested in veganism seemed to be gradually familiar with vegan-related terms. More and more people are talking about the need for vegan products in the beauty and fashion industries as well as food. The vegan industry will and should grow. Wan Zhong Li, vegan.
Magnanimous viewers, thank you for your presence today for the Fourth Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress on Words of Wisdom. Please join us tomorrow for part 9 of this illuminating conference. Coming up next is Happiness is Where the Heart Is, a New Year celebration with Supreme Master Ching Hai, vegan, part 5 of 6. Right after noteworthy news, may you forever be comforted in God's love.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds, hell not reach.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.